Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm, and in this lesson we're going to talk about how to use something very powerful called a random. Essentially what we're going to do is we're going to use the power of a method that already exists to choose a random index out of our array. So here's essentially how we do that. So first we need to create a new instance of the random object. Now this is something that we haven't really talked about. This is more object-oriented programming. So in order to explain exactly what I'm doing here, it would take a lot more than I think is the scope of this class. Just know that the first step in creating a random is this line of code here, okay? Random, capitalized, because we're indicating the type of object we want to bring in, which is random. This is a lot like creating a variable. Then we want to give it a name. I usually call mine rand. We're going to say equals a new random object. So that line right there, that's one that you're going to want to type exactly the way it is here. You can usually, you can change the name of the random object if you want. It doesn't really matter. Some students do RND. That's fine too. Again, this is just the name, so it doesn't really matter. But this line has to be in there in order for you to use the random object. Okay. So now that we've invoked an instance of the random object, now we actually need to create a number. We have to pluck a number out of thin air from the random that we've just created. So we're going to store that number in an integer because that number is a whole number. So we're going to create a new integer variable, call it int. I'm going to call this index because we're going to store an index number. You'll see what I mean in a minute. And the index is going to be rnd.next. Now the next keyword basically is saying whatever the next random number is in the random number stream. So we're going to pull the next random number out of the stream. And inside the parentheses here, we want to give it an argument. The argument we want to give it is basically the range of numbers that we're willing to accept. How far do we want the random number to go? If I don't put anything in here, essentially I'm just leaving it open for, any number, and that wouldn't work because our array only goes up to an index of 11. So we only want the range of numbers from 0 to 11. So here's how we do it to make sure that it's always going to fall within the range of numbers we want. We can say we want it to be months.length. And then I spelled length wrong. So months.length. What that's going to do is it's going to say, all right, we're going to start at 0 and we're going to go to the end of months. And then we can't go higher than that, right? So it's going to pick a random number out. Let's go ahead and put that number on the screen. So we can see what we're dealing with here. So if I run this, I get 1. Okay. Next time I get 11. Next time I get 11. Next time I get 3. Next time I get 5. So on and so forth. You can see that it always falls within the range that we're looking for. This is the range here. So it's always going to be a number that is associated with an index in this array because we're tying it to the array length. All right. So now that we have the index, here's what we can do. We can then pull that index out of the array and display it on the screen. So we can say console.writeLine months. And then instead of putting a number in here, we can put the index variable, meaning whatever's stored in index is going to then be the index we pull, right? So in the case of the last time we ran the program, 5, the index 5. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So June would actually pull up on the screen. Let's go ahead and try this out and see if it works. So we get index 0 and it pulls up January. That's what we're looking for, right? We're looking for it to pull up a random month. Let's do it again. 4 is May because 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And every time we run this program, we're going to get a different month of the year. Okay? So this is adding some randomness into our program. This is what we're looking for. Now, let's say you have you want to do a bunch of randoms, right? Let's say you want to create a new one. So you want to just say, all right, well, let's do console.writeLine, and let's just do months index again. Now, make a prediction. Do you think this is going to work the way we want it to? The intention is to try to create to pull up a completely different month. Is this going to work the way we intend? Think about it, and let's see if you're right. So we get March and March. Okay. December and December. Okay. October. So what's happening here? Well, it's pulling up the same index, right? We've only told it to pull one random number and store it in the index variable, and then we just keep putting that index out onto the screen. So in order to create another random, we would have to create a new something, right? So new index. I'm just going to call this, I'm going to create a new variable, int new index. And that would be rnd.next months.length. Now, instead of index here, we'll say new index. Now they should be different, okay? There we go. So the top one is September, the bottom is December. March and January. August and January. April and October. So you can see that we have two random numbers pulling two separate indexes because we're storing them in separate variables. But we only had to write this line once. Once we have this line in our code, we can pull as many random variables as we want as long as we have that in there. Okay? So this week, you're going to create a Magic 8-Ball program. I'm going to go over these steps with you in that assignment. I'm going to show you how to build that assignment. But if you understand this concept, you're going to be able to create all kinds of very powerful applications. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. That's really all I need to teach you about random. If you use it the way that I used it, great. It'll work for you every single time. All right. Thanks for paying attention, and I'll see you next time.